Welcome to Tammy Nation. Let's go.
From 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man's wife. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tammy Nation. I am back from my little hiatus and thought I'd come on and cover some stuff that's been happening lately. You miss a week and you miss a lot apparently. So with that being said, the time off was really good. I had to take care of some things, take care of some business, and it went well. So now I'm back and I'm not surprised actually at all the stuff that has been going on in the short period of time that I've been away. It's crazy. And it's not going to be, I think, any slower, any different as we head up to November. There's just a lot of stuff that keeps happening. And just when you think that you know what's going to happen, then you surely don't. It's just incredible. So obviously, everybody's been talking about, and I've been watching behind the scenes about what happened to Mr. T the other day. I'm sure that all of you have been following it like crazy and stuff as well. And the thing is, when something like that first initially happens, I think it's good to set back, pull back for a moment and see how things unfold before you actually jump in and try to assume what happens or know what happens. And we've seen that, a lot of clarification has come in. However, there's investigations to continue on and that are going on as well. So coming on today, when you look at the person that did what he did to Mr. T, being only 150 feet away on top of a building with a clear sight of vision to him, there's many questions that have to be answered. Why that was allowed to happen, of course. I've been to events that Trump has been at, and everybody that was going to this event is already in the Republican Party database. And we all had to get fully vetted. We all had to have background checks. We had to supply our social medias, et cetera, and then the whole Secret Service and police that are on hand at an event with him, what you go through to even get in there, being a vetted person already, was incredible and took a long time, which makes sense for the safety. So with a public event like he's been attending on, continuing for the years, on and on and on, with just random people, even if you submit your name for a ticket or whatever, there has to still be a great deal of attention paid to who they are entering. So how somebody could slip by, get on top of a building that close to him is beyond me. And hopefully we'll get answers to those questions. As Mike Johnson, speaker, said, they're going to do a full investigation to this. I know that there's many people out there that have assumptions or say it doesn't make sense. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are ex-military or ex-experts, and they've broken down their opinions about it. There's plenty of information out there to get what you need regarding this. So I don't think we need to rehash all of that. I will just wrap it up to say that it doesn't make sense, that, yeah, some people expected it. Me, I was hoping that it wouldn't get to this. Even if we thought about it, I kind of laughed it off. I'm like, there's no way that could happen. And I was wrong about that, because I knew the intensity of the security at these events and stuff. And it was the last one, obviously, before the RNC, which kicked off today. And we're going to cover some of the things that'll be covered of that and what that means as well. But I just want to send out prayers to family and friends that lost loved ones. Also the people that were injured. I know there's 2 that are recovering, that are in the hospital, that are in stable condition. And I hope that this will unify people, because when it gets to this point, we have to ask ourselves, what was your reaction when that happened? Because I've seen a lot of ugly on social media as well, that people were saying, too bad he didn't have better aim, et cetera, et cetera. And when you get to that point in your life that you're a person that can be disappointed that it didn't go worse than it did, we have to ask ourselves, where's our moral compass? Where is our character? Where is our sense of humanism? And hoping that out of this bad, that it can be turned to the positive. The negative is always can be turned to the positive. And I do believe that God protected Mr. T. I've seen the pictures out there about how he turned his head just a little bit. And if he wouldn't have done that, the results of what happened to him may have been completely different. And that's what I want to give pause about, not breaking down the details, which are still coming out. And I'm sure plenty of people have done the last couple of days. But what do we learn from this? What do we hope to gain from this? What is our limit of allowing people to say and do what they want to the point that it gets to this? And freedom of speech is very important. But when you look at what people are saying about this, because they were disappointed the outcome wasn't a lot worse than it was, that's where I talk about our character and moral compass. And I know obviously those people don't have God in them, that they're applying with the Holy Spirit in themselves, because godly people don't wish that upon anyone. And it was very disappointing when I looked out there. But the optimism here is about Mr. T, how he is a wonderful leader, that he did not run. And I think that's very important that we can learn from that. He did not run. When he was down, he stood back up, and he wanted to ensure that we, the people, knew that he was okay, even though he didn't know he was going to be okay. That could have very well been his very last breath. He didn't know what happened at the moment, other than he had taken a bullet or two. So it shows his character, that he wanted to ensure that he knew that we would be okay no matter what the result was for him, that as long as we unite, we stand for God, truth, country, and what is right in this world, that we're going to be okay. And I think that was very heroic. He didn't run and hide. And he did an interview with the Washington Examiner, and I'm going to cover some of the key points that he talked about in that as well. To me, that was a great leader. That was a great move. That was showing strength. That was showing that he wasn't going to let the enemy win. And he's always told us he won't ever give up, and neither should we. So also, I want to put out there, Jack Posebic put a little blurb out there about the time that the bullets were fired, which was 6/11. And in Ephesians 6:11, it says, put on the armor of God so that you may be able to stand firm against the tactics of the devil. So that was a little thing he put out there as part of his optimism. And we always talk about we have to put the armor of God on. And then a Charles Stanley quote, which I found very interesting. And I think that's easy for us to apply, that we stand tallest and strongest on our knees. Because when we see, like I said, that this could happen to somebody that is doing nothing but trying to make America better, to stand for we the people, and then this kind of atrocity happens, we have to put ourselves in check. Like, what are we doing? Why are we sinking to such low levels? Where's the humanity? Where's our intelligence? Where's our sense of compassion? And where is our brains at, really, when you think about it? Because what people don't realize out there is you may be on the side of ha, 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 he deserved it, or whatever it may be, but you never know when that's going to turn around and come your way. And that's the problem. When we lose the ability to talk and have educated conversations, and it turns to violence and negativity, nobody wins, because there's always going to be somebody out there toggling for position of power, strength. And when you unify and you can have conversations and we can speak intelligently, that's how we problem solve. And when you look back at all the different names that we have all been called conservatives, and all the bad things that people have thought of us on the left or the other side, we are not the ones that have been causing destruction in the cities in the summer of 2020. When we look back at all that, we're not the ones that when we protest cause violence and destruction and break things. We're not the ones out there that are screaming loud and being violent. That's not us. And here it is, our leader, the one that we hope becomes the next president of the United States. Look what happened, and you don't see us out there in the streets causing problems and issues. Are we mad? Yeah. Are we PO'd? Yeah. But we handle things completely differently because we have a humanness about us. And we don't yell, scream, torch things, and do bad things to other people like the other side does. So I'm hoping through this instance that happened, we pull back, like I said, pull back the lens, think about who you are, and reflect on how you can make change and make it change for the better. There's also been a GoFundMe that has been authorized by Trump for the victims and their families of this tragedy that happened at his rally in Pennsylvania. And some of the names and people that have donated to this, and this is one of those things about unity, and this is about people who do have power and money are using it for the good to help these families and victims. Kid Rock put a big donation out there. Vivek Ramaswamy did. Adam Sin, John Shihadi, Ben Shapiro, Bill Ackman, Ivanka Trump, Dana White. These are just some of the names out there that have put big donations into this GoFundMe that is authorized by Trump for these victims and this tragedy that happened to their family and loved ones. There's over $4 million that has been raised so far, with over 54,000 people donating. That's the kind of unity, that's the kind of pulling together as a country that we need to see out there when things like this happen. You would think in this country things like this wouldn't happen, but that slope has been so slippery for so long by allowing people to just do whatever they want to do, and they're not having the repercussions that they should have. When people know that when they do something bad, that they're going to have to face the consequences, that is a whole different ball game. But the lack of them having to face consequences has been, I think, the fire that has fueled this kind of aggression out there in this country for so long. So you can look up the GoFundMe. It's www.gofundme.com, and then it's /F President Trump seeks support for Butler, PA victims. And you can find that out there if you want to make a donation. But I think that's wonderful and beautiful that is going on, and that gives us some hope and inspiration. So now we can cover some of the interview that Trump gave the Washington Examiner the other day, his interview, because I'll tell you what, when he stood up and he raised his fist with blood across his face, that's the sign of a true leader. That is dedication that he has showed since he has been in office and after the office. There has been many statements put out there by Melania and Trump's family that you can read through those as well. I think Melania's statement was very classy and wonderful and beautiful. Nobody's calling for aggression. Nobody's calling for us to retaliate in any kind of negative way. People are talking about unifying and taking a look and reflect at ourselves at how did we get here? Are we part of the solution, or are we part of the problem? So as Trump starts, he says, I'm not supposed to be here in this interview. He said he can't stop thinking about the way he moved his head in the split second before a gunman intent on unaliving him pulled the trigger during a speech in Pennsylvania on Saturday evening. He was at the podium like he always is, and he began to refer to a large screen hanging to his right. That showed statistics about immigration. To better see the screen, Trump turned his head to the right and a little up, and at a millisecond in which his head was at just the right angle for the bullet to graze his ear but not enter his skull. At that moment, the bullet whizzed by. So Trump suffered the wound to his ear, as we know, but no other injuries, and that did seem like a miracle. Many people out there are saying that God saved him. And there's also somebody out there, I don't know his name, but there's a video that came out recently talking about how he prophesied about this happening to Trump. And I'm going to look at that some more because, as you've heard me say before, and as the Bible says, a prophet has to be right 100% of the time. He can't be wrong once, he or she. If they aren't a true prophet of God. However, this prophecy came through about Trump, and he put it out there about 4 months ago. So I am going to look into that as well. So as Trump continues with this interview on his comments on what he had to say, is the most incredible thing was that it happened to not only turn, but turn to the right at the exact time in just the right amount. He was talking about this aboard his Boeing 757 as he was flying to Milwaukee for the RNC convention, which started today. He said, if I only half turn, it hits me in the back of the brain, and the other way goes through the skull. And because the sign was high, I'm looking up. So the chances of my making a perfect turn are probably 1/10 of 1%. So I'm not supposed to be here. And that's another thing that we reflect on, is what would this world be like? And what would it be like with him not here? And if you're saying, oh, a much better place, like some of the ugliness out there, you have to check yourself, because we don't wish this upon anybody. Nobody that is running as a representative for this country and a leader should ever have to deal with this, even though we've had a history of it. That's been happened on and off. And, it's like, who would run then? And is there anybody that has stood up for this country like Trump? Not. So it is a blessing that he is still here. And it gives us pause, like I said, to always reflect on us. What were our initial reactions? What were our thoughts? What were our hopes? Were our dreams dashed? Yet I believe God saved them. So Trump is continuing to say that he had to be at the exact right angle, because the thing was 1/8 of an inch away. 1/8 of an inch, you guys. In the blink of an eye, a life can be taken. And 1/8 of an inch, it can be saved. That I would turn exactly at that second where the gunman wouldn't stop the shot was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I'm not supposed to be here. So Trump did speak highly of the Secret Service agents that covered him while he was down on the stage. At one point in the interview, he rolled up his right sleeve and showed a deep red and black bruise where the agents made sure he stayed down. That's just from a guy grabbing me, Trump said. You know how strong you have to be to do that, Trump said. He insisted on getting back up and walking off the stage under his own power. And that's another sign of a great leader. He said, I've got to walk out. I have to walk out. I did not want to be carried out. I've seen people be carried out, and that's not good. And I had no problem with walking. I wanted to keep speaking, but I just got shot, he said with a little laugh. It is a very surreal experience, and you never know what you're going to do until a thing like that happens. And obviously during this interview, he was still processing what happens. And I did see the footage of him once he landed and left Pennsylvania, and he was landing in Milwaukee and taking off. And, he did it on his own accord. When he said he's not going to give up, he means it. How many people do we have out there that are willing to sacrifice what he sacrificed for us? He took a bullet for us. In reality, that's what he did. And then he's still standing firm. And he said that at that moment, he said it's going to stay with him for the rest of his life. He said, when I asked him, the interviewer, does this change your campaign of what happened to you? Trump immediately answered yes. Trump explained that before Saturday night, he had finished the speech he planned to give later this week at the Republican convention. I basically had a speech that was unbelievable, rip-roar, he said. It was brutal, really good, really tough. And last night, he threw it out. I think it would be very bad if I got up and started going wild about how horrible everybody is and how corrupt and crooked, even if it's true. Had this not happened, we had a speech that was pretty well set, that was extremely tough. Now we have a speech that is more unifying. The speech wasn't fully written, but it had already been drafted, starting in the hours after the attempt on his life. The idea is to reframe the intense conflicts Trump has engaged in during the years in national politics. And we all know how ugly politics has been and how much uglier it keeps getting. He says, I've been fighting a group of people that I considered very bad people for a very long time. and they've been fighting me. And we've put up a very good fight, Trump said. We had a very tough speech, and I threw it out last night. I said I can't say these things after what I've been through. I'd love to achieve unity. If you could achieve unity, if that is possible. There are many good people on the other side, but there are also people who are very divided. Some people actually want open borders and some don't want open borders. The question is, can those two sides get together? Can sides where you have people who want to see men play in women's sports, and you have a side that doesn't even understand the concept allowing that to happen, get together? Trump knows that it's a long shot, and it has impact, he said, of what happened to him. Now maybe the impact will wear off if the other side gets nasty. He said it seems quite likely that is exactly what will happen, and the fighting will resume, even though both Trump and Biden are talking about unity. And it's wonderful because they both are. And for Trump to change his whole campaign coming out now to be unity is also remarkable. Because really, he's been talking about his accomplishments. He's proven his accomplishments when he was in office, and he's never changed what he wants for this country or you or me. He's never changed that. So after this happening to him, he realizes and he wants unity. And I think we can all agree to that we want to be able to walk down the street, anywhere, and not have to worry about being robbed, about people tearing the towns apart, robbing stores, going in and pillaging as if they're entitled to the things that they take and not facing consequences. And it has woken a lot of people up of what happened to him. Because like I said, you have to realize it happened to him, but it can still happen to each and every person, because if you start serving the wrong master and the bad people, it's only a matter of time that you're useful, and then you aren't useful anymore, and then your time could come. And that's the difference between using violence and trying to manipulate people to do things your way and only your way, not for the goodness of each individual or country, but for you being able to take and wanting to take anything that you want to take, feeling you're entitled to it all the time. It's terrible. Hey, Chris Gilbert, good to see you. So Trump, to close out this interview with the Washington Examiner, said, "But even if it does not bring lasting political change, a brush with death has had an obvious effect on Trump. He survived by luck or by God. Once the trigger was pulled, the chances of Trump avoiding fatal injury seem infinitely small. I mean, Trump said, I'm supposed to not be here. I'm supposed to be unalived." He said it did have a lot of impact. So if that can slide in, and like I said, you can go back and forth and trying to figure out so many things that don't make sense of what happened at that event. But the reality is it had to be somebody knowing or slacking or participating in whatever it is. And we simply can't have that in this country. This is not who we are. When you take so many good things and morals and values out of a country and its people, and you put that on the back burner, we see the consequences of that in our cities and what happens to the people that are living in this country, the people that come into this country illegally. It's just an insult to everybody that comes in legally, and we've gone over all this stuff. So you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it to think that Trump is the bad man? When you look at what has happened and who is the one that is causing all the chaos in the cities, who is doing that? It isn't conservatives at all. It's not them. And it's about time that we can admit when we're wrong because we think we knew things that we didn't, and get over our pride and ego. And like I said, we are no good country if we don't unify together. There is no safety if we don't unify together, and we learn how to have conversations, and we learn how to understand there can be differences without violence to further enact that. Now, the RNC did kick off today. Trump is supposed to announce his VP as well sometime today, later on this evening or this afternoon. There are many people that, have their hats in the ring for that have been talked about. But it's in Milwaukee, And actually, this convention is the first national gathering for the party members to rally behind Trump. So we'll have to see if they're really putting their bags in the same bag of Trump and showing support and unifying after everything that's happened. We'll see who's there and what is going on. It concludes on Thursday, and obviously he's going to become the party's nominee along with his running mate. So we'll have to see who his running mate's going to be. Trump also said that he thought about postponing his appearance there for a couple days, but he said that I cannot allow a shooter or potential unaliver person to force change to scheduling or anything else. In a letter he posted, Unite America. So, like I said, he's been out and about again. And you have to ask yourself, would you have the courage to do that? Would you also be able to go out there after? And it's not even the name calling and the bad things that people have said about him from the get-go. It's the actual actions that were taken. Would you be able to have the strength and courage to do that? Because he has. And to me, that's a hero. So it says that he wrote Unite America, and it says the members of the party took that message to heart as they've stood deeper in unison and in support of Trump. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who was initially not invited to the RNSEEE, is now slated to speak on Tuesday at the convention. All right, so leaders in the party see the convention as a chance for its members to show how united they are, in contrast to the Dems, who are deeply divided over Biden's candidacy. In total, did it come out, Chris? Ooh, I just missed it because I looked before I went on and he didn't pick anybody. Well, that's cool. J.D. Vance is in. That's what Chris Gilbert said, that Trump picked J.D. Vance. Thank you for sharing that. Because like I said, I looked before I went on and I didn't see anything out there. So it says that in total, these are huge numbers, you guys, at the RNC. There's going to be about 50,000 people attending. And there are 2,429 delegates from all 56 states and territories. And as of July 12th, Trump has earned 2,268 delegates. So some of the speakers that are going to speak are Donald Trump Jr., of course, Laura Trump, Tucker Carlson, Alina Habba, Charlie Kirk, and then Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Doug Burgum, and Tim Scott. So the big things on the to-do list for this convention at the RNC is really to vote on the party platform, essentially the party's mission statement. On Wednesday, the vice president nominee will likely speak, and Trump is expected to make his big speech formally accepting the nomination on Thursday. But in the meantime, they're talking that the real stars of the convention are the everyday Americans, that's you and I. And they do have a theme for each day. So 4 days worth of themes. And they're going to play off of Trump's Make America Great Again catchphrase. So today, what is going on is talking about Make America Wealthy Again. And it's going to highlight how Biden's economics policies and everything, lower wages for workers, have made everyday life unaffordable for working class Americans. And it's going to focus on Trump's America First economic policies that emphasize trade deals and cutting tax rates. The theme for Tuesday is called Make America Safe once again. And it's going to paint American cities and communities as in decline because of Biden's soft on crime and open border policies. Republicans, per the memo that went out, would bring order to the border and curb the distribution of drugs in the U.S. And we all know, completely honest, the drugs and the rate of people that have been unalived or ill from the drugs that have been imported here is astronomical. The hospital that I work at, they talk about how these teens and young 20-somethings take something one time and they have lifelong lasting side effects from it that are destructive, anywhere from being in a vegetative state to not even breathing anymore. And they've seen an uptake in it. And they said it's horrible and it's sad because there is no regulation in it. And we've seen the videos of police officers and stuff when they encounter some of these, that just the smell when they open a trunk or the dogs are looking, how they pass out and go into convulsions over it. So I think that's a big deal. That is a big deal that we don't want, because children, you think about the dumb stuff we did when we were young. It wasn't as detrimental as it is now. And we do definitely need to get and curb the drug issues that are running rampant in this country for our loved ones and our kids and for society in general. Like I said, I've seen it firsthand in the small little hospital that I'm at, and that isn't fake. It's a real thing, and it's devastating. On Wednesday, they're going to center on Make America Strong once again and on foreign policy over the issues such as the Israel-Hamas war, Iran and China, with a goal of strengthening the U.S.'s standing in the world. So that's the agenda for Wednesday. Then the final day of the convention, the RNC, is going to culminate with Make America Great Once Again, which is when Trump's expected to accept the nomination, and he will center on the promise to usher in a new golden age for America of resurgence for cities and communities and optimism for the future of our country. So in lieu of everything that happened with Trump, they didn't say that they were going to change anything about that at all, that they were going to continue on that pattern. And like I said, I've spoken with at some of the meetings around here that I've attended with people that have lived in California, have family members in California, and they aren't even comfortable flying the United States flag. That a lot of times people will take it, steal it, burn it. They will spray paint your home, your car, etc. So when we get to the point in this country that we can't even fly our flag that we are proud of, that is a representation of this country, things drastically do need to be changed. People should not be allowed to feel comfortable enough to destroy private property and the representation of this great flag at all. And they do, because they don't face the consequences. So being a lot tougher on crime, I'm all about that as well. And, I have kids, I have young kids that they aren't growing up in the same country that I grew up in. I want them to have the freedom to go out in the world and entertain themselves and enjoy the public parks, enjoy society, enjoy the fun things in life. I don't want to always be worried or concerned that, hey, do you have your spray with you? Do you have this with you? I mean, always be alert on where you're at. This is a sad state that we're in. So after what happened with Saturday, I'm hoping that and encouraging that people will realize, guess what? They're not immune from it. Even if they agree with things that conservatives don't, if they don't agree with things conservatives do agree with, that problem or that issue or that arrest may happen to them. That robbing of them may happen to them. Because when people don't have any fear of that, and employers and employees are told, you know what, do not even try to attempt to stop somebody robbing your store, or where there are signs in our country that says, don't worry about anything if it's under $950 or less that you're stealing, because you're not going to be held accountable. What in the heck is that about? How is that fair to anybody that wants to work and earn a living? They are encouraging people to rob and steal. They are encouraging people to not work and just take whatever they feel they want in the moment they want it. The crime rate where I live has increased a lot as well, unfortunately, because what happens is people stop going into their area and they start going to areas where people work and have things that they can break into cars and steal. There was a ring around my area that they broke into 30 plus cars in one evening, just breaking in, stealing stuff. And that's just got to stop. We aren't this country. Nobody wants to live like that. And ironically, the people that are moving here illegally are trying to escape that very thing. But yet they're committing some of the very crimes that they're trying to escape from. And it makes no sense. And it is time that we put our people first. It is time that we have a safe country and safe cities, even if we have difference of opinions. So the last thing I want to talk about is Judge Aileen Cannon has dismissed the classified documents case against Trump in an order today over the manner in which Special Counsel Jack Smith was appointed. The superseding indictment is dismissed because Special Counsel Smith's appointment violates the Appointments Clause of the United States Constitution, wrote Judge Cannon, who was appointed to the bench by the former president. Special counsel Jack Smith has contested this argument, and other federal courts had upheld the constitutionality of special counsels. None of the statutes cited as legal authority for the appointment gives the Attorney General broad inferior officer appointing power or bestows upon him the right to appoint a federal officer with the kind of prosecutorial power wielded by Special Counsel Smith, Cannon wrote. Nor do the special counsel's strained statutory arguments, appeals to inconsistent history, or reliance on out-of-circuit authority persuade otherwise. Her opinion closely tracked the reasoning outlined by conservative Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas in a recent concurrence in a separate case against Trump. Trump applauded the dismal dismissal and called for all other cases against him to also be dropped, including the criminal charges related to the efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 deal. As we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, the dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should just be the first step, Trump posted on Truth Social. The Democratic Justice Department coordinated all of these political attacks, which are an election interference conspiracy against Joe Biden's political opponent, me. Trump's lawyers on the case declined further comment, and the Justice Department had no immediate comment to the case's dismissal. So that right there to me is very hopeful. Let's see if the rest of the dominoes fall. And it's about time. We've been holding our breath for a long time, saying, you know what, nothing's going to change, nothing's going to happen, nothing is going to be any different. But the tide is turning. And I think that if we keep in prayer and we keep looking for truth and fighting for truth, that there's nothing that we can't do as United Americans, United States citizens. You have to just want what's true, what's right, and what's good, because then we all prosper. It's not just a small part of society that prospers. And that's the way it seems right now because of the policies that are in place, the things that people are allowed to get away with. And when you have good morals and values, and you have a good heart, and you are honest and true and raised the right way, you don't have it in you to do that. You don't have it in you to behave that way. We all were raised that you do something wrong, you're going to pay the consequences. We were not raised to tolerate this kind of thing that is going on in our society. Also at the RNC, there's been like 5,000 or more protesters that are planned to be there as well. So let's hope that that is peaceful and that is quiet and that is calm, because it is people's right to do that. But I am praying and hoping that the times of violence and ugliness are over, and that it woke a lot of people up of what happened. Because if not, what is the last straw? What is the straw that broke the camel's back? What is our end game? What do we think is going to be worthy of us just stopping being hateful and angry, taking one each other down, and just not unifying under God, under morals and values? And I'll be danged, I don't have to agree with anything, neither do you, but we sure as heck, as humans and as decent people, have to have a conscience about the things we do and say and the actions that we take, whether we're charged criminally or not, whether the policies that are in place don't punish us or not. We have to have some sense of decency brought back into society, because I'll tell you what, when you go to Trump events like I have, that is there. It doesn't matter what age you are, what color you are. People are proud of wearing red, white, and blue. People help each other. People smile. People laugh. And it's just an amazing feeling. If you're not getting out there and you're not getting some of that, I suggest you do. And another thing is, I was just at a little event the other day, and it was a little bit of a concert. And it was amazing, because to see people and families outside enjoying barbecue, enjoying one another, enjoying music, and being on a dance floor dancing, older couples, younger couples, people that were handicapped or disabled, people were making way for them and allowing them to stand or to be in their wheelchairs at the front of the stage, and even dancing with them, holding their hands. It was beautiful and it was amazing. And I'm like, this is the America that I was growing up, that I grew up in. This was a peace of mind to see and do. So don't be afraid to go out there and recharge yourself with the beautiful things like that. People were singing, people were dancing, and it was actually a band called the Magic Bus, and it was like 60s music from Woodstock. And believe it or not, there were a lot of young people there too. And it was really cool to see people dressed up in the peace sign and hippie gear and just wonderful colors and just tie-dye and just smiling and laughing and just sharing a good time. It was amazing. I just sat there like absorbing and watching all this good positive energy and how people were living their lives and being so good to one another. And it was incredible because it's been a long time since I've done anything like that. I've been so embedded in politics and the ugliness of what's going on, and to try to find truth in stuff just to get away for a little bit for an evening to enjoy that. No drinking. It was a free event. No alcohol was there. It was just a good time. And it re-charged me, and it gave me hope. And again, to see that no matter what age we are, no matter how we were raised, we all have a choice to be good, be happy, or not. So that's what I have for you guys this evening or afternoon, Monday. It's good to be back in the saddle, and I'll be back tomorrow with a devotion, and let's see what happens at the RNC. JD Vance apparently is the VP pick, and we'll see. You can obviously watch the RNC all over the place. All different social media platforms are going to have it if you want to catch some of the speakers and see what's going on. So with that, I'm going to say take care, God bless, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for joining me, and thank you to those that'll join me later. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.